Hey guys, B Rob here. Food for Thought Podcast. We're going to talk about spiritual warfare on this podcast because I've been undergoing that for a long time in my life, and I've tried to juggle two different worlds that I cannot do, and it's impossible. And I married my wife in 99, party like it's 1999. I entered the car business the same year, the car industry. I was in the jewelry industry when I married my wife, and both of us worked at Freeman's Jewelers after I got her a job at Freeman's Jewelers from the gas station. But let's talk about the car business. I sold cars for 3 years at Dick Smith Nissan in Lexington, South Carolina, where I met and married my wife and had my kids. Of course, Courtney already had Mackenzie. She was 8 months old when I met her, and she is my daughter as much as Tori, and my daughter as much as Brooks and my son. But Dick Smith, I sold cars for 3 years. I was very good at it, but we had 9/11 right then, 2001. So I was good at it when it was in the pits. So if that says anything, that tells you that there's a story to come. Okay. Anyway, 3 years. They sent me to finance school. Best thing that ever happened in my life financially. I move up through the ranks. I do finance, end up being one of the best finance managers Dick Smith had at the time. And that was good and dandy. And I moved up and became a general manager at another dealer auto group. And moved up the rankings through the industry, man. We were not going to church. I was not into the God thing. I was into the money thing. And I had lost my path as I was raising kids, giving them technology, letting them listen to this music that I was listening to, which half of it was probably good and half of it was probably evil, and letting them watch movies and doing things that I did not know I like. It goes in the ignorant stage at this point because I'm young and dumb, and I just thought that was life, and I had no clue they were trying to program my kids to be a woke individual. Luckily, they are smarter than that, but I had no clue about none of that stuff until God humbled me in 2006 when the market crashed, and I lost a dealership and 2 houses I owned in Columbia, had to file bankruptcy, moved back home, and was scared to death of the car business because I didn't want to do it again. So I just didn't want to do it because my soul had wrestled with that. And I started going back to church with my mama, and a lot of things changed in my mind and my heart because I had gone back to my roots, which were solid rooted in Jesus. Not Christianity, but Jesus. And I was hanging out with a friend of mine, and he owned a roofing company, and a lot of things happened. I started doing music again. I started writing songs again. I wrote this song called STP, which is Save the Planet. And if you haven't heard it, you can hear it on Apple Music. It's out there, Spotify, whatever. But there's a meaning behind it. And I did not know what God was putting on my heart at the time. I had no clue what I was writing at the time, but it means so much right now. But what I'm talking about spiritual warfare is I got back in the car business. And I did very well here in Augusta. And it took me a minute. There were some tough times. I went through some times where I had been hospitalized twice for diverticulitis. And, dealerships don't give two shits really about your health or anything. They just want to make sure you're there to be able to do your job to make them money. And I say that, and it sounds harsh, but it's the truth. And I'm not saying the people that actually run the dealerships don't care about you, but what I'm just telling you is the way the industry and the machine works. Okay, so don't get none of that twisted. I'm not putting anybody down in the car business. I'm going to say that up front. I'm just going to give you my experience. Okay, so there was there are times where we couldn't make ends meet, and it was tough. But then Trump came along, and I started working for Gerald Jones. Well, actually, I started working for Gerald Jones again for the second time before Trump came along, and they were rebuilding the Ford dealership over off of Riceboro Road. It was Bobby Jones Ford, and then it was Gerald Jones Ford. So I started when it was Gerald Jones Ford, and we did really good. And then Trump was elected, and then we did even better. And, but it's still, my kids were in high school, and I did it so that my wife could stay home with my kids and have a relationship with them during their high school years and make sure they were going through high school without any issues or anything, because today's a different world than when we grew up. Our parents were working, and they just left us alone and trusted us, and we were good kids, but we did some stupid shit they don't have a clue about, but we never got caught because we don't have cell phones and all that good stuff. So anyway, I guess what I'm saying is it stole me away from my life for years and years and years. Like, I missed birthday parties. I missed all kinds of stuff because I was always at work, always at the dealership. And those people think if you make $200,000 or more that they own you. And even when you're scheduled to get off at a certain time, you will stay 2 hours later if they tell you to, no matter what. That's just the way that slavery worked. That's the culture of that industry. And like I say, I'm not putting it down because I engaged and did it, and I did it for the money, which is what I'm trying to tell you, the spiritual warfare, okay? Everything was good, all good, until I decided to, after my kids had graduated and moved on, got their own places, I decided to retire from putting people in debt, which hurt my soul, for one thing. High interest debt. Ripping people off, high interest debt. And what I say by ripping people off is after COVID, prices went up like 10 grand, like on new and used cars. It was crazy. It was like when all that stuff happened, everything went up and people paid more, and they did it anyway just because they had to. Like, interest rates after I left went to 8% when everybody was used to 2 and 3. So it's a change of culture. It's a shock, really is. And you just got to understand that. And I always struggled trying to be a follower of Jesus because, you can't serve two gods. You can't. And even before I left and retired, I bought like $30,000 worth of gold and silver, really cheap. And you just can't. You can't really rely on anything of this world, gold, silver, money. And the reason I tell you that, hey, it's B-Rob. Stay tuned for part 2, Spiritual Warfare, coming right up.